Alright, so what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So most of my loyal subscribers that follow me from day one have probably been waiting for this video for a long time, and of course you've probably all guessed what it's about by the title of this video. So I'm not going to break it down to you, I'm not going to give you a long intro, I'm just going to get straight to the point with this video. And on that point, I want to keep it raw for you guys. You know, I don't want to do any fancy edits, I haven't written enough down, anything like that, but I have put some notes down because I feel like when I do these raw edit videos where it's just kind of going with the flow and it's coming off the top of my mind, there's a few things when I look back at these videos that I forgot to put into it that I really feel like is important for you to get a better understanding and take something away from these videos, because that's what I try and do with all my videos. I want you to have a look into my life and my experience with, you know, the fitness and bodybuilding, but at the same time I want you guys to try and learn and take something away from these videos. So I put a few pointers down just to remind me to make sure I put them into this video, and that way I know that when the video is done and you're watching it, you guys can take something away from it. But before we get into this video, of course, let's cue the intro. You've already guessed what this video is going to be about. I always read the comments after all the videos I put up of people asking me to talk about steroids and my use of it. But on this video, what I want to do is I want to talk about, of course, why I started using steroids, why I don't really talk in depth about steroids on YouTube, and my whole take on the usage of that and it being involved within this industry. So let's get straight to it. Now as well, before we get into this video more deeper, I'm not sponsored by anyone. First of all, I was thinking I potentially want to become, you know, really big in this industry. I want to be an ambassador for bodybuilding. So I always thought it may be a touchy subject to talk about this and put this across social media, because this could potentially ruin my chance of getting a sponsorship with anybody. But at the same time, I want to be truthful with everybody, and we all know that the majority of people out there are using some sort of drug enhancements, and they're probably under a contract with some sponsor company that they can't talk about and they can't discuss it. So in a way I feel like that's kind of bad, but then I can see where they're coming from because they have a business to run and they don't want to ruin their reputation. So while I'm here at the moment, I'm free, I'm not under any contracts, and I'm not sponsored by anybody. I can say what I want, so that's why I want to talk about it. Now, why I started using steroids was for one reason. I've always wanted to be very big in this industry. Now, when I say big, I don't just mean physically big, I mean in the way as I want to be a big role model. I want to be well known, if it's either in the UK or across the world. And when I started considering actually competing for bodybuilding, I looked at, you know, all these competitions, I went to a few shows, and I see the people up on stage and I thought, Jesus Christ, these guys, and females as well, are huge. They have to be using some sort of drug enhancement. And then at first I thought a lot of the federations were all drug tested, but then when I was seeing these people come out, they were looking like monsters, and I thought, surely there's no way that this is a drug tested federation. They must be using something. So I come to the conclusion that if I want to compete with those people up there and even stand a chance of, you know, placing in the top 3 or winning a show, I need to start using them. I need to start using drug enhancements to improve my physique and my performance within my training sessions. I also reached that level of, you know, my natural potential. There was no further growth that I could do naturally. So that was another reason. And that's what I want to mention for you guys on here is, if you're new to training or you've only just been, you know, within this fitness industry for the last year or less, don't automatically just jump straight onto drugs and steroids and things like that. Be patient. I was talking about this in the seminar the other day, that if you guys haven't seen it, the videos are on the YouTube channel. There's 2 parts of it, so go check them out. But we were discussing this at the seminar about how everybody in this industry, and to be honest, it's not just this industry, it's life. Everybody wants results yesterday. Nobody has that patience to put the work in and just wait years on years on years for that progress to eventually come and those rewards to come. They want the results and they just want it yesterday. They want it right now. But you have to be patient, and especially with this sport. My saying that I've always said from day one is always try and get the maximum out of the littlest as possible. So just using training and just using, you know, food, try and grow as much as you can. And then after a while, you'll eventually realize that you've reached your natural potential and you can't go any further. And for me, that was, again, about 3 years ago. And I remember I was sitting around about 193 pounds for about 4 to 5 months. And whatever I was doing, I just couldn't put any more weight on or put any more, you know, lean muscle tissue on. I just couldn't see any progress anymore. So that's when I decided, with wanting to compete, going to a few shows and reaching my peak naturally, I was like, right, now this is where I need to start considering, do I start using, or am I just going to say this is where I end it? You know, this, when I say end it, I don't mean stop bodybuilding. I mean, this is where I end my growth and I just maintain where I am. But I always wanted more. I was always one of these people, and I still am, one of these people that always wants more. I always want to improve. I am one of the biggest criticism on myself. I will always criticize myself, and I always will want more and better improvements in myself. So if I wanted to compete with these people, I knew that I had to take something. But I knew at the same time, I was patient. I trained as hard as I could naturally. I ate all the food that I could. You know, I was consistent every single day. You know, I started dropping out with the hanging out on the weekends, going out drinking and smoking and all that. And I put all my commitment and my time into eating food, you know, training every single day, putting my head in books and just trying to learn about bodybuilding. So I thought, I've done the waiting part, I've done all the patient part, and, you know, took my time with this, and I've now reached that point where I can now start investing in using PEDs to start helping to push through that plateau and being able to compete with other people when I come to stepping on stage. So that's the main reason why I chose to start using steroids. On that note of why I started, what I want to pass on to you guys is, if you are considering using it, don't always associate gym with steroids. First of all, think about your training itself, and then think about nutrition and the food. And then eventually, when you actually can sit down and think, right, I'm actually really enjoying this. Do I want to consider doing this as a career? Do I want to be a competitive bodybuilder or fitness athlete, whatever it may be? Then you can start looking into adding some more tools into your, you know, your arsenal to help you progress even further. If you're just one of these gym goers that like to go for the weekend, you know, just do a little chest workout and an arm workout and then go out clubbing on the weekend, don't even consider thinking about using PEDs. Don't even have it cross your mind. Just go in there, train, eat some good food, and then do whatever it is that you want to do on the weekend. But if you want to actually be a more competitive bodybuilder, you want to take this serious, you want to do this every single day of your life, whatever you do, you eat, sleep, breathe, and even shit bodybuilding, that's when you can start considering using your time and investing your money on these PEDs. So now that pretty much clears up why I started using it. Now I want to discuss why I don't talk about it on my YouTube channel. Now, the reason why I don't like to discuss about my cycles, my dosages, or, you know, go more in depth about steroid use is because there's so many keyboard warriors out there and so many young people out there. Again, I mentioned this earlier about they want results yesterday, and they're not patient and they're not smart enough to actually sit down and educate themselves and learn about them in, you know, greater detail. Learn about where did steroids come from, what were they previously used for, you know, what's the different type of steroids out there, what are their jobs, what are the compounds, all this in and out stuff that you need to educate yourself with, because before you put this stuff in your body, you need to know about it. And because so many people are not willing to put that work in to educate themselves on drugs or even things like nutrition and supplements and training techniques, the last thing I want to do is promote steroids and say, right, this, I take this cycle, I take that cycle, I take this dosage and that dosage. Because people on the other end of this video will watch it and they'll write down on a notepad and they go, right, I admire his physique. It might not be me personally, it could be anyone else that they're watching on YouTube. They say, I like his physique, he's nice and big, you know, I wish I could be like that. He takes this, he takes that, and he takes this. I'm going to use the same thing and I should be, you know, just as big as he is. That's not how it goes. As we all know, each individual, we all work differently. We all respond differently to different drugs. We all respond differently to training techniques, nutrition, supplements. So you have to do that education and you have to put that work in to understand what actually works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if these kids out there are not willing to do that education, this can lead to disasters. You know, this can lead to massive health risks, you know, health problems. And I don't know exactly who my audience is out there. Some of the people that could be watching, they could be 15, 16 years old. And the last thing that I want to do personally is promote about steroids and steroid uses, dosages and all this stuff when a 15 or 16 year old out there is watching this and they won't take that time to educate themselves on it, and they'll just copy what I'm doing. They'll just listen to the dosages that I'm using and they'll do the same, expecting the same results. And I wouldn't want to have that guilt feeling that I was responsible. Even though I may never know and find out, I still can always have that conscience on my mind that if I did talk about drugs and if I did talk about dosages, there's somebody out there that may just start copying what I do and something could happen to them, and that will constantly be playing on my mind. And then I wouldn't want that feeling, you know, I wouldn't want that guilt sitting on my shoulders. So the safest way to know that nobody will be able to cause any harm to themselves is if I just don't talk about it. But as all my loyal subscribers will know, at the same time, I will always openly admit, and that's why I'm doing this video. Now again, I was really skeptic about talking about this because I'm really against promoting steroids. Now I'm not against actual steroids themselves, I'm just against promoting it and talking about it and discussing about it on social media, just simply for the fact that some people are just not willing to educate themselves. So I thought to myself, should I do it or should I not? I want to be loyal and I want to be truthful with all my subscribers and everybody out there, that I would openly admit that yes, I do take them. So that's the main reasons about why I started taking it and why I don't really discuss and talk about it in depth on my YouTube channel. But going on to another subject about what is my overall thoughts of steroids in this industry. My thought is, again, I may have already stated this previously, but if you want to be a competitive bodybuilder, if you want to look into becoming you know, a professional, if you want this to make this your career and your main source of income, then by all means, don't just use steroids. You kind of have to. Because if you haven't been to a show, go to a show, because you can see these pictures of, you know, physique athletes, and again, even the females, and the pictures are misleading. I'm telling you, when you actually go to the shows, I went to an Olympia, and I was discussing this actually the other day with a client. When I watched them on my iPad with the live stream, they looked, obviously, they're huge. Phil Heath, Kai Green and all, they're massive giants. But when you're actually there, person, face to face, they look 10 times bigger than what you see on the screen. So what you see in pictures and videos and all that, that can be very misleading. So go to a show, and when you actually see these monsters, you know that no matter what, steroids is a part of this. It is a part of this sport. So we kind of have to accept it. It's simple as that. We have to accept that it is a part of this sport. But the problem is all those keyboard warriors out there who say this, oh, he looks like that because he used steroids. He only done it because he used steroids. I could look like that if I used steroids. That's not the case. If you use steroids, if you're somebody, let's say, if you're somebody who's never used steroids, right? You don't know any education on steroids. Let me tell you this. If you take them, that doesn't mean that you can sit on the sofa and eat your Ben & Jerry's ice cream and you're going to look like Kai Green. You still have to work hard. And if anything, using drug enhancements is going to mean that you have to work even harder, because in basic terms, using drug enhancements enables for you to recover and grow a lot faster. Therefore, you don't need longer time resting before you go in and train another body part. That means you're ready to go train the next day. So when there's a natural who trains a body part really hard, they need a couple days rest. If you are using drug enhancements, you have to get back into that gym the next day because you're already recovered, because you've had that little boost with the drug enhancements. That's giving you that benefit of growing a lot faster, recovering a lot quicker. So you need to work a lot harder to get maximum use out of those drugs. So don't think for just 1 minute that you can take these drugs and sit back and let the drugs do all the work. You still have to put in all that work just as much as that natural person is. So you can't sit there and say, I would look like that if I took steroids. No. Do you train every single day? Do you put all your, all your work ethic into all your workouts? Are you up every single morning doing your cardio, 4 AM or wherever it may be? Are you sticking to all your meals in your diet every single day? If you can do that on a consistent basis, day in, day out, 365 days a year, then of course you will look like that. But a majority of you people out there, they're keyboard warriors, don't at all. I pretty much think I've cleared up everything for you guys, and like I said, I wanted to keep this nice and raw, no edits. There might have been a few little changes, of course the camera died and all that, so I do apologise, but I wanted to keep this as truthful as I could to you guys, and I wanted to explain it because I constantly hear everyone asking, talk about this drug, talk about that drug, talk about the drugs that you use, and I just wanted to make it clear for you guys, the reason why I don't really discuss it on my channel, the reason why I started, and my whole take on the subject itself. So that's pretty much it. That is pretty much my take on this subject. Yeah. What now? So I guess that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, as always, give it a big thumbs up for me, and like I said, communicate with me. I really want you guys to respond on your take on the subject, what you feel you've learnt from this video by dropping a comment down below. And also, as always, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you all on that next video. Of course, everybody, stay safe and make it happen. Peace.